I've got this Fly Panos Esperante GT. I know a lot of the guys don't like Panos cars, but I happen to really like them. But the fact that Fly made them accurate to the real cars is a bit of a pain, because front motor cars don't really run well on slot car tracks. So what I've done, as you can see, is I've taken the motor out of the front, cut a little box in the back, dropped it in Sidewinder configuration, placed the whole rear end, and I've got myself a nice little GT car that runs well with other brands of GT cars. So the last little thing I have to do here is to take the original rear axle with rims on it, turn these rims down to inserts so they'll fit into these, I believe I have slotted rims on the back here. They're about the same size. So hopefully I'll be able to do this all in one take. My video skills aren't the greatest, so bear with me. You might have to fast forward through some of the boring bits. Anyway, first thing I've done, or will do, is cut this axle in half, get rid of the crown gear, get rid of the axle, the bushings, these old plastic bushings, and then we'll actually use the axle, grip that in the drill press, file down the outer bits until we get a good fit inside the rim, and then we'll cut the back off so that they fit in to proper depth. And then the last thing is just put a little touch of medium or thick CA glue to hold them in there. Okay, here we are. What I've done is I've taken a Dremel and I've cut the axle in half, and then cut the crown gear off and remove the bushings, and then I've actually just put the one end into the chuck of the drill press. On the drill press I've just got a piece of scrap plywood here, because I don't like to work on the table itself. Raised my bed up so there's just a slight gap underneath. What I do most of my filing with is this Mibro brand axe file. The one side has fine cuts in one direction, the other side has slightly coarser in both directions. I find this side that says axe file works very well, doesn't take off too much plastic to get the wheel too hot. It takes off just the right amount. So we'll fire it up and take the few first passes. If the wheel is a little out of round, you just want to do some skim passes on the first few to take down any high spots. You can see the color of the wheel turn as we take the paint off and get down to the plastic. Just some short strokes to start off with. Sorry, I apologize if I have the file in the way, but I set the camera up and it's a little more comfortable to do it this way. So basically you work away at this. What you can pretty much safely do is take the ridge right down to where the original wheel is. So you're going to take this center section off right down to there. This is a pretty wide ridge, so it's going to take a while. Some wheels where there's a thinner ridge, you can take that down pretty quickly. You can be a little slightly aggressive at the beginning, but once you get to the end part, you don't want to take off too much plastic. You'll start to put a little too much heat into the rim, and it'll warp and bend, and then that'll be the end of it. I'm just using my fingers to take the plastic out of the teeth once it builds up a little bit. You don't really need a card file to do that with this task. Put some more light on the subject here. Okay, we're just about coming to the rest of the wheel here. Oh! Okay, here we go with the first little issue, and that is sometimes the wheels let go on the axle and they stop spinning. Alright, how do we fix that? A little drop of CA glue and wait a few minutes for it to set up, and then we should be ready to go again. So we'll stop the video here and I'll do that again, and then we'll be right back. Okay, I've put a bit of CA glue on this and pushed it back up and let it sit a couple minutes, and I've run a little test and she looks good, so we'll keep on going here. The key part at this point is to get a bit of an idea on when you think you're going to be near to the diameter, so you can stop, move your block out of the way, grab your test wheel, see if she fits. That's still got quite a bit of ways to go, so we'll keep on going. Okay, we're down to the point where the front edge fits into the rim there, but because these rims have a bit of a ridge, I don't want to go any further because then the outer part won't seat nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this one off, and then if I have to do some work from this point back, I can. Let's show you how we do that. I use a X-Acto razor saw, and we just come in at right here and cut right down to the axle. And since I put CA glue on there, it's going to be a little trickier to get it off the axle, but hopefully she'll pop off no problem. The distance from the face here that you cut along here just is sort of you just kind of eyeball it. This is a fairly deep rim. If you make it too shallow, you can build this area up again in behind the insert so it stands out at the right depth. So we're kind of going to go somewhere here about 2/3 of the way from the face. And like they always say, it's better to, you know, take a little more and then take away. It's easier than taking too little and having to build it up again. Basically just hold the saw still. There's the wheel. It's going to stop spinning again, but at this point that's kind of a good thing. Just take it easy here. It's just hitting the little fins of the original wheel. There we go, we're through them. Now we're into the hub, and should be, there we are, we're on the it just popped right off nicely. See if that's going to drop in there. That's going to drop in there pretty nicely, but we'll have to work on the outer bit and take a bit of the inner so that it seats nicely down inside. Okay, so we're back here. What I actually had to do was I took quite a bit of backing off of this, off of the rim to make into an insert, and I realized with this little lip on the slotted rim, I really only needed an insert that was quite thin. So this rim was a bit of a pain. I had to recut in here, and because I didn't have much of a stub left, I actually had to manually cut with my saw down to the hub here, and then cut these 6 sort of spokes here with just some side cutters, and that got rid of this piece here. So now we've got some pretty good depth here on a test fit. It sits a little bit proud, so what we'll do is we'll slowly take that down with some sandpaper until it sits in there just nicely. Okay, I've sanded down the back of the rim, or the insert. It sits in there pretty nicely. There's still, you can still see there's a gap between the insert and the rim. You know what, when you're going around the track, you're not really going to see that. I think they look pretty good. I've also noticed I've rubbed off some of the paint on the actual insert just by what I've been doing here, taking it down. So the next one should look better. Usually when you're doing a new car and you're not sure of with the wheels and how they're going to turn into inserts, the first one is usually pretty experimental. The second one, you know, you've learned some things and it usually turns out a little bit better. I might have a go with some touch-up paint on this just to make it look pretty, but for now I think that looks pretty good. Time to do the other side. And in case you're wondering, there's how I've done my Sidewinder conversion of a front engine fly Panos. Works pretty good. I've got a Delrin spur here, 1136, with some half flange ball bearings, and it runs nicely. Quite well. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, just put them in the comments, or check out Pete's Light Kits on Home Racing World. And take care.